Welcome back to the final hour of the Don Carpenter Show on News Talk 1270 KIML.
News Talk 1270 KIML. Don Carpenter Show. Welcome back to the program, 9:08. So Chris stopped by during the last break of the last hour and told me about this story. And I thought, well, maybe we'll do this tomorrow. But then I started reading the story, and I thought, well, what the hell? We can do this today. This is just fascinating. It's fascinating. There are videos of it. I don't think I'm going to play the videos. I haven't screened them to make sure nobody swears, because if I were watching this game, I'd probably say something salty and not safe for the FCC. Because here's the situation: two Tennessee high school basketball teams, girls basketball teams, were banned Tuesday from their district's postseason after both reportedly trying to lose a game against each other. It's unclear what gave it away. One team intentionally missed 12 of 16 free throw attempts. The other did everything they could to avoid crossing half court in order to get called for 10-second violations. One player stood inside the paint and motioned to the ref to call a 3-second. So she stood inside the paint and just said, "Hey, look, I'm here."
I think she gave the 3 sign as well. Okay.
Yeah, 3 seconds, 3 seconds. So the schools, Riverdale and Smyrna, were both placed on restrictive probation by the Tennessee Secondary Athletic Association because it was determined both teams tried to lose Saturday's game. This could be the worst game of all time.
Yeah, I think it goes down as the worst game of all. It has to, right? When both teams are trying to lose?
Well, and here's the thing. Just earlier this year, you had in Alabama two boys' high school teams, and Alabama's a state without shot clock, ended up with a 2-0 game because they just played zone and just stood back and didn't shoot. This is worse than that because at least somebody tried to win. I think the 2-0 game, those teams tried to win. They just didn't want to shoot.
Right. And they didn't want to go against the zone.
Yeah. So
at least that was a poker matchup.
Yeah. I mean, that's strategy. That's all strategy.
This is just trying to lose.
Yeah. How do you?
There's so many things to talk about with this because, first of all, there's no winners. Because first, you have two teams trying to lose, and I feel bad for the players because the coaches, first, I'll just say it, the coaches are losers.
Yeah, the coaches told them to do this.
They told them to do this because what happened is they didn't want to play the 1 seed. If you win, you go up to play the 1 seed. It's a double elimination, so if you lose, you're not out. So there was a strategic move. At the same time, you don't try to lose a playoff game. Because you don't want to play a 1 seed. You're probably going to play that team down the road anyway. Yeah. Why not get it over with? So there's one factor. There's no winners in this. You have two teams trying to lose a basketball game. And then to add to it, the state, the high school sports organization of that state, Tennessee, right?
Yeah, Tennessee.
They fine them. They're going to fine both these schools $1,500. Why are you fining schools? If schools have trouble finding funds, you're going to fine them money for this? That is ridiculous. That to me is more of a crime. And
I actually have and I looked it up during the break. It is the school that got fined. I thought maybe it was the coach, but the school is who gets fined here. And I looked, and there's no definition of unsportsmanlike conduct. I mean, it just says unsportsmanlike conduct. Obviously, trying to throw a game is unsportsmanlike, but.
Or is it the most sportsmanlike thing you could ever do? Well, you're trying to not win. You're trying to help the other team win. That's sportsmanlike. It's like when somebody gets hurt and you carry them across the finish line. Well, and they finish first because you carry them across. Don't we consider that sportsmanlike?
Well, you have a point because we've gotten to a point in sports now where teams will let somebody score.
Right.
You have it in the NFL.
Exactly.
You have Brett Favre laying down for Michael Strahan.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
So this is what sports has come to in this country. You have team and both teams trying to lose though is crazy. Intentionally missing free throws. Now for me, I can't have free throw to save my life. So if I were out there, they wouldn't be trying to lose; they'd just lose. But now, say this is why I wanted to have you in here to talk about this. You're the announcer calling this game, and somebody's calling the game for whatever radio station there is in Riverdale, Tennessee, or Smyrna, Tennessee. What do you do when you're calling this game? Do you just call it, or do you actually make comments that say, "Look, they're trying to lose this game"?
Yeah, I think, well, once you realize that they're probably, and you have to be sure, I mean, as a broadcaster, you have to be sure that both teams are trying to lose. But once you really were 100% sure, yeah, you point it out. And you just say, hey, both teams are trying to lose, and here's why. Strategically, here's why. And then, you know, luckily, I do games on the KIML, so really, if it got too bad, I just send it and have them play music.
Well, see, that's, and I think this is something that would be completely foreign to everybody around here because, I mean, we're this town, and I'm sure you've seen it. This is a very competitive town. Especially when it comes to basketball and football. And can you imagine the people of that town? The people of that town, what they're doing to this coach today.
People of here wouldn't go through that. They wouldn't have watched the game. I think you'd have had kids pulled. I think some parents would have. Honestly, the high school kids should have shown a little maturity in my eyes. I think and
just
left.
Or
if the coach tells you to not win the game, there's no reason to be there. What's the point of being there?
Well, here's what I would do as a player. I'd just play. I'd play to win.
Yeah, go score 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, if the other team's going to try to lose, I'm going to score 100 points.
And if they take you out, then that's your cue to go. Your cue to skidoo, as Yogi Bear once said.
Yeah, and then that's what would happen. The coach would pull you, and then at least as a player, I would not obey an order from a coach to throw a game.
Yeah, and I'm surprised the game went that long. I mean, if I was a parent, I'd be so upset that I would say, hey, I'd actually go talk to while my player was on the bench and say, hey, if you want to, you don't have to be here for this. I mean, I'd make it their decision because I'm not going to be one of those people that say, oh, let's go. But I would say, hey, you know what? You don't have to do this if you don't want to. But, yeah, it's ridiculous. And I also think it's ridiculous that I don't think there's any authority. I don't think they'll be challenged, but there's no authority for them to disqualify both of these teams, I don't think.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Eventually, a school administrator went to the Smyrna coach and said, "You can't do this." And of course, then they start playing. He puts his starters back in. They win by 26.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The final score is 55-29. So I think it's a shot clock state. But, geez, I mean, so for 90% of the game, both teams are trying to lose. One team finally is forced to try to win and wins. I mean, I really have no idea what you do in a situation like this.
I know
because this is something that's probably never happened before.
Probably, and again, just like with any authority, again, I think the state jumped the gun. They fined them. They kicked them both out. When in reality, this will deal with itself. You think these coaches are going to last long there? No.
Oh no, the parents. I can't even imagine. You think about it. I mean, you get hate mail for for not mentioning every single player.
Exactly.
Can you imagine the parents of some of these kids? I mean, they'd be. I mean, if it were my kid didn't play any team sports. She was she did competitive horseback riding, but if this were my kid and the coach was down there telling him to lose, I'd go down to the bench, say, look, try to win. Don't listen to the coach.
Exactly.
I'll stand behind you. Go out there and score 100 points.
Right.
If the coach benches you, we'll go home.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to handle it.
Yeah.
I think it's really sad state when you have two teams at the same time trying to lose, and there's no winners in this whole thing.
Well, I mean, I guess sports media gets to be a winner because
I guess so. We're winners. We get to do the segment.
Yeah, which is good because it's I think this is more interesting than politics because it's a much it's a much broader subject than sports. I mean, this is this is kind of a moral dilemma.
It is.
The moral dilemma is, what do you do as a kid if your coach asks you to lose a game?
And I sure hope these coaches haven't ever went around and said, "Oh well, team sports teaches a lot of good things, perseverance and being competitive," and yet you're like, let's lose. We don't want to play the 1 seed in the second round.
Yeah. Well, it got so bad at one point that the referee even called the coaches out because one of the players tried to score in the wrong basket. You start shooting at the other team's. That's the way to try to lose.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way to try to lose. You shoot at the wrong basket the whole time.
That could get interesting.
You just throw full court shots at the other basket.
Well, you know what? What's interesting about that is if you were trying to score on their basket and they were trying to score on your basket,
it's a regular game.
It would just turn into a regular basketball game. Maybe that's what happened. A regular basketball game broke out because they're trying to score on the opposite baskets.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering how the losing team, the losing team they scored 29 points, which is not unheard of in a regular game for high school basketball. They scored 29 points by trying to lose the entire time. So they must not be very good at trying to lose.
Oh, boy.
I mean,
it's kind of sad, too, because they might be pretty talented if that's the case.
Yeah, maybe they're actually good. I really don't know how a coach of a team even comes up with an idea of trying to lose.
And how two of them comes up with one of them didn't try to lose, but both of them did. That's just insane.
It makes you wonder. I assume they didn't collude with this. I assume they didn't come together and say, "Look, we're both going to try to lose," because then one of them,
what's the gain from that?
Yeah, what's the gain from that? So they independently came up with the idea to lose the game on purpose.
I feel like are these two coaches the losers of the week? They're the losers of the week.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm going to start doing loser of the week. I think these coaches get the inaugural loser of the week.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah. Let me find the guys' names here.
I don't think they're going to last, by the way, as the basketball coaches of these two high schools. I could be wrong. But.
Okay, so the Riverdale coach, his name is Corey Barrett, and the Smyrna coach doesn't have his name, but he's a loser too. These guys are losers. And look, the kids, I'm not going to blame them because they're just doing what they were told.
Exactly.
But next time they should learn a lesson. If you're given an illegal order in the Army, you don't have to follow it. Well, this is the same thing.
Right.
If you're told to tank a game, don't do it.
Exactly.
Okay, so
giving life lessons again.
Yeah, I think so. Why don't we do this? I'm going to take a break. We'll come back and I'll get back into the political stuff. News Talk 1270 KIML.
The best local and national news and analysis. The Don Carpenter Show on News Talk 1270 KIML.